This is the only video you'll ever need to build a body of your dreams. I'm gonna warn you, this video isn't gonna be like every other fitness video you've watched this week, saying these are the 5 exercises you need to get in shape, or this is the amount of calories you need to be eating to get in shape, because all of that is accurate, but that's not what's gonna truly give you the transformation you so desire. Now in this video, I'll be breaking down 10 mindset shifts you need to make, because building a bulletproof body starts in your mind. If you don't have your mind under control and mastered, then your body's gonna crumble. No matter how much you know about diets and meal plans and workouts and lifting, none of that is gonna matter if you don't have your mindset locked down. So here we go. Number 1, you have to completely shift your identity. Now think about it this way. If you were an alcoholic and you were trying to quit and someone were to ask you, man, do you want to drink? You're not going to say, I'm trying not to be an alcoholic anymore, so I can't have it. You're going to say, no, thank you. I don't drink. And so you've shifted that mindset from someone who drinks to someone who doesn't. And it's the same with your fitness. You're no longer someone who's lazy or someone who struggles with overeating or inactivity or laziness. You are someone who trains to build a relentless mindset and body. So when someone asks you, do you want to go get fast food with us tonight? Do you want to go pull an all-nighter and neglect our health? You're going to say, no, man, I'm focused on my health. I'm locked in. I'm training. I'm working towards something bigger than myself. And this may be hard at first, but those people are going to respect you. Even if they laugh at you and judge you to your face, behind your back, they're going to be like, wow, this guy really had an impressive shift, and I want to be more like that. Now, Romans 12:2 in the Bible emphasizes that you need to be transformed by the renewing of your mind. So this isn't just telling yourself, oh, I'm going to skip the meal tonight, or I'm going to train tonight. It's telling yourself, I'm going to do what I do, what the man who trains every day does. And you're going to live your life focused around doing the habits every day that lead to becoming a strong and relentless man. Number 2, you have to reject comfort. The one thing that separates people working minimum wage jobs at McDonald's and people owning $1 million brands is simply that the successful people are not okay with being comfortable. When I worked my 9-to-5 fast food job, all of my coworkers who had been working in fast food their whole life were simply comfortable with it. They weren't happy, but they weren't willing to take a risk to go all in on something because they were used to how their life was and they didn't want the discomfort of doing something harder. Now, the difference between them and the successful people who run $1 million businesses is simply the comfort level. Those successful men refuse to stay complacent, refuse to plateau and stay at the same level for a long time. They're constantly growing and constantly changing and constantly chasing the next level. And this is how you should be with your fitness. You need to set your goal high so that you have to become uncomfortable to achieve that. And ultimately, you're going to find peace in your discomfort. You know, that sounds kind of backwards, but would you rather be living in comfort where you're overeating, undertraining, but knowing that you could be so much more and that God is calling you to be so much more? Or are you going to take that step to become the man who's constantly chasing more, constantly becoming that man that God is calling you to be, that stronger man, that more powerful man that is never satisfied? One of my favorite quotes, I'm not sure where it's from, but it's content but not satisfied. You can be grateful for everything God's given you and happy with all of his blessings while still not being satisfied with yourself and still growing. But it's not for selfish reasons. It's ultimately to honor God and to give back to him through your body. Think about how much work it took God to get you here on this earth. What a slim chance that is. Do you think he wants you sitting on a couch eating junk food all day, scrolling Instagram all day, neglecting your health? No, he wants you to respect the temple that he lives in, which is your body. Matthew 7:14 says, narrow is the gate and few find it. So being that driven man who's not complacent, who rejects comfortability to become a stronger man, that man is rare. And there are not many like him, which is why he becomes great. But it's not easy. You have to wake up every day with the intention, I'm going to reject comfort today to become someone great. And that starts the moment you wake up and get out of bed. You could hit snooze, or you could say, no, that's not me. I'm a man who rejects comfort, who grows every single day. So I'm going to choose from the minute my alarm goes off to reject comfort and to grow and to improve 1% every single day Step 3 is keep promises to yourself. Ecclesiastes 5:5 says, "It is better not to vow than to make a vow and not fulfill it." So integrity starts with yourself. Think about what you say to other people. Do you make promises that you don't keep? If you're gonna promise someone something, I hope that you're going to follow through with that and say, if you say, I promise I'll be at your birthday party tomorrow, you're going to go, because you're going to be letting them down and ruining relationships if you don't go. So why don't you treat your body the same way? If you make a vow that tomorrow morning I'm going to get up on time and not snooze, why do you treat that differently than making a promise to your friend to go to their party? Because that ultimately means you don't have enough self-respect. You don't have enough respect for yourself if you keep promises to those around you, but not to yourself. That means you value other people more than yourself, which is good, being selfless. But that doesn't mean you should be thinking of yourself as nothing. You should be respecting yourself and keeping those promises to yourself, knowing that you were given your body for a reason and a purpose, and you have to work every day to grow and strengthen that body for a deeper purpose than just yourself. Step 4 is controlling your impulses outside of the gym. Galatians 5:23 talks all about this. Self-control, self-control, self-control. Now, discipline is a spiritual trait, not just a physical one. If you don't have control over your mind, then you're not going to have control over your body. This is probably the 3rd or 4th time I've said this so far. That's because it's so important. You have to have control over every aspect of your mind, because it's honestly all the same if you think about it. The same self-control that keeps you from falling into a vice, into lust, into temptation, that part of your brain with that self-control is the same part that keeps you consistent in the gym, whether you want to go or not. That keeps you consistent to a diet, whether you want to eat the ground beef and rice or you want to eat the cupcake. It's the same part of your brain that's going to say no to lust, that's going to say no to that cupcake. So you have to conquer this part of your brain in every aspect of your life, not just your physical health. In fact, I'd argue that it's more important to get control of the mental side first. Because I found when I was falling into temptation and vices and lust, I was having a harder time staying consistent in the gym because I was so ashamed of myself and so guilty and felt no discipline in that area that it leaked over into my gym habits, and I had no discipline there either. Number 5 is winning the boring days. Luke 16:10 says, "Whoever is faithful with little is also faithful with much." There may be days that you are so busy with meetings, with so much that you can't focus on your mission. But you have to win those small days. If there's a day that you can't get into the gym for an hour, that's no excuse to completely spiral and neglect all your habits. You should be growing every single day. So even if you fall off in one area, if you're not able to get to the gym, if you're not able to get in your calories or your steps, you should continue building up in other areas. Small daily wins spiral into big days, the same way that one bad day spirals into multiple bad days. If you're going on a 12-hour road trip, the average person is just going to go on the road trip, wake up, start driving, get to the hotel, go to bed. But the small habits that are going to change you from being average to being that top 1% is when you stop for gas, doing some push-ups, going on a quick walk around the gas station. Like, so many small things that you're just winning those small microscopic habits that are going to ultimately lead you from being the average physique to that dream physique that you wanted from clicking on this video. Number 6 is embracing pain and struggle. James 1:3-4 says, "The testing of your faith produces endurance." So those hard things, those struggles, those difficulties are all shaping you to become stronger. Because no matter how good your life is going, you're gonna have struggles in some areas. Maybe you're getting the best physique of your life, but you just got fired from your job. There could be so many different small or large struggles in your life that can either completely ruin your motivation and discipline or can push you to become stronger. So you have to look at those struggles rather than God punishing you, or however you want to look at that, God being angry with you, God not caring, to God challenging you and shaping you into someone stronger, who's ultimately going to become a light for God's kingdom. The way I think about this is any struggle that I have is eventually going to become a story that I tell you guys about how I grew stronger through my trials and tribulations. Obviously, I'm still working through those. I've had so many struggles with injuries and getting cut from baseball teams due to the injuries. And in the moment, I've been so angry, so lost, felt like everything was taken, didn't know what to do. And I wanted to give up. But I switched that mindset. Over time, it wasn't magic. It took days and months and years. But I switched that to being like, okay, I just got hurt again. I just pulled my bicep or whatever it might have been. That was the most recent injury. and I'm like, you know what, that sucks. I can't do what I want to do for a little while. But in the long run, does it really matter? No. But in the short run, what can I do to use that injury to fuel me to become better? And ultimately, I used it to take a step back from baseball and focus more on this business and growing it for God's kingdom. So use the trials and tribulations in your life to grow stronger, to have stories of how you overcame difficulties and became a stronger man of God in the process. Number 7 is guarding your environment. 1 Corinthians 15:33 says, "Bad company corrupts good character." There's a saying I'm sure you've heard before, you're the average of the 5 people you hang around with. And this is so true. I don't have to go into depth with it, but if you're around people who are constantly encouraging you to fall into the bad habits that you're trying to overcome in the process of chasing your dream physique or overcoming vices, it's going to be nearly impossible to say no to those temptations that are being presented to you because you're constantly around them and people are constantly encouraging it, and it's not bad to them like it is to you. So honestly, the only way to get out of this is completely cutting out those people. Not forever. You're not burning bridges, but you have to remove yourself from those groups for a while until you conquer your discipline. And then after that, it's up to you to decide, am I in a good enough space to get back into those groups to start rekindling those friendships? But bad company corrupts good character. You can be working so hard, you can have the purest intentions, and they can be wiped out from one night out with your friends where you made bad decisions, and it's ultimately not worth it. Number 8 is showing up no matter what. This has been the biggest struggle for me lately. When I'm dealing with injuries, I can defend in my mind, well, I'm hurt, so I didn't get enough sleep last night, so that's an excuse for me to sleep in and not go to the gym today. But I know for myself, whenever I sleep in, I become less productive throughout the whole day. I get less done, I post less, I'm less motivated because I feel bad about myself. And it spirals from one bad decision when that alarm goes off to an entire day of bad decisions and not living up to my full potential. So I had to learn that whether I got perfect sleep or not, ultimately that's not as important as fulfilling my calling and working towards those goals every single day. Galatians 6:9 says, "Let us not grow weary of doing good." And this just means that consistency has to be greater than your feelings. Because there are going to be so many days you're not motivated, so many days that it just doesn't seem worth it to eat that ground beef and rice bowl instead of that delicious pasta or whatever it may be. And in that moment, your brain's going to be giving you all these reasons why you should do the bad habit and not the good habit, but you have to think in the long run for that. You have to think, is this day where I made a bad decision, put on an extra pound that I worked so hard to lose in one meal, is that going to be worth it? And am I going to be happy with that decision in the future? Because you may be happy with it in the moment, but you're going to feel terrible about it the next day whenever that scale is heavier when you've been trying to lose 30 pounds or whatever your goal is. It's the same as it is with lust. You know deep down that falling into temptation and into lust is going to lead down this path of wrongdoing, and it's going to feel good in the moment, but ultimately after you're going to feel guilty, you're going to feel terrible about yourself, worthless, whatever you may feel, and it's not going to be worth it, and you're going to be angry with yourself. It's the same with these habits relating to the gym. Number 9 is stop negotiating with sin and weakness. This kind of ties into number 8, but just don't make any excuses. Don't make compromises with yourself. Don't act on impulses. Practice delayed gratification so that when you're tempted to do something that is a sin or that is going to harm your progress, you are looking at that big picture and you say, yes, I want this now, but I'm not someone who chases instant gratification. I'm someone who delays my gratification so that that goal in the end is going to ultimately give me more fulfillment, more of that dopamine spike. Just overall, you're going to feel better in that process. Matthew 5:29 says, if your right eye causes you to sin, cut it out. So you need to cut out everything in your life that is causing you to sin, whether that be bad influences, if you need to implement parental controls, whatever it may be. But you can't make negotiations with sin and weakness. You can't make excuses for why you have those things in your life because those are ultimately harming you, and so they ultimately need to get cut off. Point blank period. This one doesn't need much more of an explanation. If you're coming up with excuses, just stop it. Just shut them off. You know I'm right. And number 10 is discipline your body for a higher purpose. Because your motivation to have a shredded six-pack or to have a 500-pound bench or whatever it may be, that motivation is going to wear off and you're eventually going to lose the love for it and you're not going to know what to do with yourself. You're not going to have the motivation to keep on improving if you're doing it solely for selfish reasons, to look good or to be strong whatever it is. 1 Corinthians 9:27 says, "But I discipline my body and keep it under control, lest after preaching to others, I myself might not be disqualified." When Paul says this, he shows that he's not training for selfish reasons, to look good or to feel good. He's training because his body serves a purpose. He's ultimately training his body to bring his desires into submission and to do right even when it's hard. By lest I be disqualified, he means that if he teaches others well but neglects his own discipline, it ultimately means nothing because he's not practicing what he preaches. So this verse is about mastery over the flesh. You're not training to look good or to get stronger. You're training to master your flesh. You're not chasing comfort or giving into laziness or following every craving that you have, but you're choosing discipline, obedience, and consistency, which directly reflects your relationship with God. So ultimately, you train when you don't feel like it, you eat right when it's inconvenient, and you stay consistent even when the motivation is gone. Your body is not in charge, you are. Your cravings and your desires don't rule you because you have control over your mind and body, and use that to bleed into other areas, to have a more lasting impact on others, to reflect your relationship with God and grow your faith through applying the same discipline that you apply in the gym to your relationships and your Bible reading habits and everything else. So discipline isn't about punishment. It's about putting your body under your mission. So hopefully these 10 steps helped you to understand the deeper causes as to why you're unable to stay consistent and to help you kind of see what you need to do to master the discipline in every area of your life. If this video really resonated with you and you want to take the next steps toward mastering your discipline, you can schedule a call with me down below or DM me the word bulletproof on Instagram and we can talk through habits that you can implement. Because everything I said in this video is so hard to apply if you don't have accountability. But the reason that you haven't gotten to where you want to be is because you're unable to hold yourself accountable because you're fighting your mind for your desires. But if you have someone else holding you accountable, you're able to stay consistent and stay focused even when that motivation is gone. So if you want a brother in the faith holding you accountable, schedule your call below and we can talk through the next steps. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe for the next videos that'll continue to talk about mindset and discipline and building your dream physique.